Good morning, friends. It is Thursday, May 23rd. Had to check the calendar. I always have to check the calendar. And I thought I would pick up the camera and vlog today. It has been, well, let me get started by saying I have my cup of coffee here, and I thought I would start this vlog off with a little coffee chat, catch up with what's been going on. In my last vlog, I had mentioned that Lucy was not doing well and that we had to take her to the vet. And I honestly can't remember if I'm sure I didn't give you the blood results because we didn't get the blood work results till the next day. So let me give you a little bit of an update on Lucy. She is doing fine. Her blood work all came back at the same, not normal, because they'll never be normal for her because of her condition, but at the same, they were holding steady. Everything was holding steady, and in fact her calcium levels are starting to come down, which is what the vet wanted to see. Gotta get a drink here. So her kidneys are still functioning as good as they can be for her. The only little indication on the blood work was that her protein levels were a little bit high, and that is one indication of some sort of an infection. She had a fever when we took her in, and like I said, she'd been vomiting and just not eating and all of that jazz. So he gave her a shot of antibiotic there in the office, and then she has been on oral antibiotics twice a day. Tomorrow is her last day. She'll finish them up tomorrow. Within 24 hours of getting the shot and being on antibiotics, she perked right back up and she's doing fine, which that was a giant relief. But the roller coaster ride does not end there. Within a couple of days after realizing Lucy was going to be fine, she just picked up some sort of a bug somewhere and it had some sort of a small infection. Pepper was sitting in my lap as usual, and I don't know what made me look, but I happened to glance down, and her ear, she was holding her ear a little bit funny, and I could see that there was like debris, and it was just like looked very dirty. So I looked in her ear and I saw her ear was just really dirty, and I'm like, oh, that's nasty. So I got to looking closer and I saw a lump inside of her ear. It was red and kind of angry looking, and I immediately started to freak out. And it was on her left side, which is the side that both of her cancers have been. And I thought, she's done for. I mean, she has another cancer. It was down in her ear. I mean, I could visibly see it, but it wasn't on the flap of her ear. And I thought, if that's cancer, I don't know what we're going to do. I mean, each of her surgeries has cost $600. So already we've got $1,200 in surgeries in that dog. And I'm like, I don't know what we're going to do if we have to do another surgery. Will the vet even want to do a surgery in that spot in her ear? I showed it to Olivia, and she was concerned as well, and we were both thinking the worst and thinking, what's the point of even calling the vet, because it's the inevitable, she's gonna die. I was a hot mess. I was distraught, but I didn't tell Scott. I didn't want to tell anybody. I didn't want to acknowledge it. I wanted it to I just wanted to pretend like it wasn't there. And I checked it like every day thinking, oh, it's going to go away. Well, it didn't go away. Well, then on Sunday, this was a few days after we initially found it, I looked again, saw it was still there, and then I did probably the worst thing I could do, and I Googled it and did some research online, and I was convinced, 100% convinced, that she had the mast cell carcinoma had come back and was in her ear, and that she was either going to have some sort of major surgery, or we were going to have to just let her life end, whether we put her to sleep or just, you know, bided our time. So I completely broke down, and I went and I talked to Scott, just sobbing. And I told him I don't know what to do. And he said, well, you call the vet tomorrow and let him look at it. And he said, and if it was, what would we do if she was a person? We'd do whatever we could. If it means surgery again, it means surgery again. So it gave me a small bit of comfort knowing that he was helping me make decisions, because, I mean, she's everybody's dog, but she's claimed me, so she's kind of my dog, although the whole family loves her. So called the vet Monday morning with trepidation. I really didn't want to call him, but I called, and they got us in yesterday. And so I'm like, and every day since we discovered it, which had been like a week prior, I was crying. I was in tears, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. If we have to put that dog to sleep, I'm just not going to be able to cope. I'm just going to go to my bed, and I'm not going to get out. So I was already in a pre-depressed state, and I was just an emotional wreck. And thankfully, I already had videos recorded, ready to publish for you guys, or else you would not have been getting a video this whole week, and you'd probably been wondering what happened to me. So we took her to the vet yesterday, and he looked and looked, and at first he didn't really see what I was talking about. So he's like, show me what you're talking about. And so I kind of had to pull her ear like open, because it was kind of down into her canal a little bit. And he had his little light, and I said, right there. And so he's like, well, let me wash her ear out so I can get a better look. So he washed her ear, and he was down in there, and he looked and he looked and he looked, and he's like, okay, I can see all the way down to her eardrum. That's a good thing. There's nothing down there. He says, I see the spot you're talking about. And he just looked and looked and looked for a full, I don't know, couple of minutes. And he pulled his thing out, and he looks up at me and he says, it's not the bad thing. And oh my goodness, the relief. He says, it's not mast cell. He said, it's an infection. She has an otitis externa, it's called. It's an external ear infection, and she has to have her ear washed every day and antibiotic cream put in her ear for 2 weeks. And oh, you guys, the relief I felt. And I had to get on here and let you guys know what's been going on, because I know you guys love my dogs like I do, and you care about my family and what's going on with us. So I just had to let you know that I have been on a roller coaster of emotions for the last week. And so far, so good with Pepper. While we were there, he checked her all over. He, you know, felt her everywhere, felt her neck, felt her abdomen, and he's like, I don't feel anything more to worry about right now. And so we still have to do skin checks on her, but we're just still praying that this carcinoma will not come back, and that she will finish out the rest of her life for another 8 or 9 years. That's the life expectancy of dachshunds, anywhere from 18 to 20 years. And so we're really hoping and praying that she continues to do well, and that Lucy continues to do well. So yeah, so that's our little update on the dogs. Update as far as the rest of our life is concerned is we went Saturday. You saw my garage sale haul that we stopped at after we went to the plant store. We went Saturday. It was 85 degrees. We were drenched in sweat. We're like, oh my goodness, it's too hot to plant these plants today. Plus we had an event we had to go to that night. And Scott looked at the extended forecast, and he said it's supposed to cool down by Monday. I said, okay, Monday it is. Monday we're going to get these plants in the ground, because it's late. We're 2 weeks late getting stuff in the ground. So Monday morning comes, it's kind of gloomy and cloudy. It had rained and it was only 45 degrees. And I was like, well, it's supposed to warm up to 50. That's a little chilly, but we're gonna get these plants in the ground. So we went out in the garden. It never warmed up past 46, 48 maybe. And it was windy and it was overcast. But I put my earmuffs on and my jacket, and Travis went and tilled the garden one more time. And Olivia and I, we got the tomato plants in the ground, and then we're like calling it a day. It is so stinking cold out here, and it's not probably good for these plants. So I put the rest of the plants back in my greenhouse, and we were done for the day. And I said, well, we'll just try to take the entire week and get this garden in before the end of the week. So that was on Monday. Tuesday it rained all day. And Wednesday I had a hair appointment in the morning, and we had to take Pepper to the vet in the afternoon. But it was a sunny day, pretty decent temperatures. And so we went out. I'm like, let's go check on those tomato plants. They probably are dead after this cold and all that rain. But actually they were doing really well. And so we took some egg shells, crushed them up, and put them around the bottom of each of the plants to keep the cutworms away. And I planted, I'm not planting very many flowers this year. I planted the flowers that I'm planning to plant. And we still have not got the rest of that garden in. This afternoon it's supposed to get, the sun is supposed to come out, and it's supposed to get up near 70, which that's like perfect. So we're hoping to get the rest of the garden in today. I told my dad, I'm like, I hadn't already bought these plants, I'd probably just be saying forget it about a garden for this year. And I'm still not sure how this, I guess it's the same everywhere, but in Indiana you just never know. But this is a long spring. Normally it's much warmer by now. And we have been having so much rain. It's ridiculous. It rains every day. Every day. If it was hot, I'd feel like we lived in the tropics. But it's cold and rainy. So anyway, that's my plans for this afternoon. This morning I have a bunch of bananas that are past their prime, and so I'm going to get a banana cake made, and I kind of was hoping to get some banana bread made as well. I don't think that is going to happen today, but I am going to get a banana cake made, and I will share that recipe with you, and then we will take you out to the garden hopefully this afternoon and finish planting. All right, I am going to go get my breakfast. I'm going to finish this cup of coffee. I'm already 13 minutes into this video, and so I think I've done enough chatting and enough update, and hopefully I can keep this video under 30 minutes today. So I'll see you in a little bit. So this is the banana cake I'm going to make, but I'm going to do it a little different. I'm not going to put any rum in it. I think that's what makes it Jamaican. I don't have any rum, and I don't think it's necessary anyway. And I'm not going to make it a layer cake. I'm just going to put it in a 9 by 13 pan. So let's go ahead and get this cake going. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to cream butter and sugar until it's thoroughly mixed. I will be using a combination of my avocado oil, butter, and some organic shortening, because I don't think I have enough of this butter left. So I'm going to make a combination of the two. And you need 1 cup. And it calls for 2 cups of sugar, and I am going to reduce that. I think 2 cups is way too much, especially since you're going to be adding very ripe bananas to this. So I'm only going to put 1 cup of sugar. And then to this you're going to add 4 eggs, some vanilla, and the bananas. So then to this you're going to add 1.5 cups of soured heavy cream, and the way you do that is you take heavy cream, you add lemon juice to it, and that sours it. Since this is a dairy-free recipe and I don't have any kind of dairy-free heavy cream, I just took 1 cup of cashew milk and added some lemon juice to it. I'm going to add that. And then I'm going to take 1/2 cup of my dairy-free sour cream and then add that to the mix. So then you add that, mix it well, and then you add all of the dry ingredients. Alright, so when I always like to run my spatula around the bowl and get clear down to the bottom and give it a final mix just to make sure everything is incorporated. Now the last thing you do before you pour this in the oven is you're going to add some more yummy stuff to it. You're going to add 1 cup of sweetened coconut. Now all I have is unsweetened, but I don't think that's really going to matter at all. This is a 1/2 cup measure, so I'm going to go ahead and put 2 of those in. This makes it kind of a tropical cake with the bananas and the coconut. And then you're going to add 1/2 cup of chopped, it calls for macadamia nuts. I do not have macadamia nuts. Macadamia nuts are very expensive, so I'm going to use chopped walnuts instead. 1/2 cup. It's almost a 1/2 cup left in this bag, so I'll just finish the bag. So I'm going to go ahead and fold this stuff in. And the last little bit of yumminess, which is optional. I mean, you don't have to add any of these add-ins, but what's a banana cake without nuts, right? And then the last little bit that you add in is 1/2 cup of chocolate chips. So fold this in. And then you're going to pour this into, if you were doing it according to the recipe, you'd put it in round layer pans, but I'm not doing a layer cake like I said, so I'm just going to pour this into a greased 9x13 pan. I'm just going to use some cooking spray to spray this pan really well. Just pour the batter in. This is a lot of batter. This is going to be a big cake. Wow, it looks delicious already.
So you bake this at 350 degrees, and it says for 30 to 35 minutes, but that's if you're putting it in round pans. Since this is in a 9 by 13, it'll probably take longer to bake. I'm gonna go ahead and put this pan on top of a cookie sheet because the batter is already quite full. I've never done this recipe before, and I'm not sure if it's gonna spill over. Let's pray it doesn't. But I'm gonna go ahead and put this on a cookie sheet just to protect my oven, just in case. I'm gonna go ahead and get this in the oven, and I'll bring you back when it's out. And you can frost this, or you can leave it plain. You can just put powdered sugar on it, however you want to do. I'm planning on making a cream cheese frosting with some of my dairy-free cream cheese. And I will have this complete recipe written down in the description box below if you want to give this recipe a try. Here it is fresh out of the oven. It looks beautiful. It did not rise up over the sides, as you can see. It's risen beautifully, but it didn't escape the pan. It took 50 minutes to get completely done. I took it out at 45 and wasn't quite sure, so I stuck it back in for another 5 minutes, and then the toothpicks are completely clean this time. I'm going to let this cool completely. It'll probably take a good couple of hours, and then I'm going to frost it with a simple cream cheese frosting. I'm going to put cream cheese, powdered sugar, a little lemon juice, and it's my dairy-free cream cheese. This is what we're having for dinner tonight. This is a big old pork roast, and I have it in my roaster oven. I love using this roaster oven for roasting meat. It turns out perfect every single time. And the way I'm going to season it, I'm going to take some garlic salt, some garlic pepper. This is what it looks like. I'm just going to take a couple pinches of that. Some dehydrated onion. Just a tiny smidge of this Creole seasoning, just to add just a little spice. Don't want to overdo it. And some rosemary. I love rosemary on meats. I always grow rosemary in my herb garden, or in a pot on my deck actually. I don't really have a whole herb garden, and I love to use fresh rosemary in the summertime. Okay, so then I'm just going to put the lid on this, and it's set at 350 degrees, and we'll let this go, and it'll be perfectly yummy by supper time. A couple of hours before it's time to eat, I'm going to throw some vegetables in there to cook because they won't take very long to cook. Some potatoes, sweet potatoes, and I've got some radishes. I'm going to try those and see how they work. I've heard they work well. They kind of turn into potatoes when you cook them with a roast. So we'll see. We'll see what they do. Before we head outside, I want to show you what my kids got me for Mother's Day. Basically, they said go on Cato.com and order some stuff. So I did. I ordered some clothes. Let me put you up on the tripod so I can show you these clothes better. So I ended up getting 2 tops and then a pair of shorts. They're Bermuda shorts. They come down to just above my knee, which is perfect. That's exactly how I like them. And the tops were on clearance, the shorts were not. But this is the first top I got. The back way up so you can see it. It's 3/4 length sleeves, and as you can see, it is like the baseball jersey style with the stripes and then the floral sleeves. It's a really, really stretchy material. Had I known it was such a stretchy material, I probably would have ordered a size smaller, but I wasn't sure. You know, ordering stuff online is kind of a gamble. So it fits me a little loosely, but that's okay. I can front tuck the front of it and it'll still look just fine. It's lightweight, so I think I can probably get away with it at least through the spring and on cool days. But yeah, it's really, really cute and I really like it. The second top is just a plain like olive green color, and it's a very comfortable stretchy material. It's got this really cute little cutout in the front, and what I really love about it are the sleeves. They hit me right about the elbow, right at the elbow bend, and look at the cute ruffles. It is so cute. It's so comfortable, and I'm going to get a lot of use out of this summer. And then the shorts, they're just black denim shorts that are long, and these are so comfortable. I had them on yesterday. They are so comfortable. In fact, I'm really considering going back on the website and ordering another pair because I don't have any shorts. I don't really like to wear shorts too often. I don't like my legs. To be honest, there's not a whole lot about my body that I do like, being brutally honest. But when I do wear shorts, they have to be long shorts, and these are long. They're super stretchy. They've got, they're denim, but they've got 3% spandex in them, so they're really stretchy. They're really, really comfortable. I think they're slimming because they're black, and I really like them. They have them, the only other color they have them in is red. So I'm a little bit not sure about red. I love the color red, but I'm not sure what it would look like on me. So I'm just mulling that over, think about it for a while, and then I'll decide. I've got time because right now, like I was just saying earlier, our spring has been super cold. So it'll be a while before I need shorts. So anyway, that's what my kids got me for Mother's Day. I love it when they say, go to Cato and get what you want. Love that. Before we head over to the garden, let's take a look at the greenhouse. Oh, look at those radishes. Wonder if they're ready to pull yet. There's a little something going on down there, but we'll give it a little bit more time. The spinach, I need to start picking this because it's looking like it's gonna bolt. So I'm gonna harvest some of this spinach and some of this lettuce today. And we'll have a salad with our dinner. There's some beetroot, I can pick those. And I replanted kale. Bought some new seed, and it's coming up really good. And I planted some, I don't know, for whatever reason, nothing is growing in that spot. I need to water. You can see where the greenhouse kind of leaks in, but then over on the ends it gets pretty dry. So when we get done in the big garden, I'm going to come and water. And there I replanted some Swiss chard right there, or no, it was different kinds of radishes. Planted some radishes there. So yeah, and then these are the plants that we're going to be getting in the ground today. So I'm going to gather these up and head over to the garden. So this is what we have planted so far. This is what we got planted on Monday when it was so stinking cold. These three plants are tomatillos, and I don't know if they need a tomato cage or not. I've never actually grown them before, but we put them on there just in case. And then the rest of these are tomatoes. We've got Romas and then two different varieties of Heritage. Black Crim, and I can't remember the name of the other one. And they all seem to be doing really well. I'm pleased. And then this is what we're going to get planted today. I'll show you what we got here. These are Market More cucumbers. These are acorn squash. This is Crimson Sweet watermelon. Got another Crimson Sweet. We have some jalapeno peppers. I need to make salsa this year. We've got some bell peppers, also for salsa. That's what the Roma tomatoes are for as well. This is, what is this? Oh, this is okra. That's another thing I haven't planted before. My mom used to plant it. This is a sugar baby watermelon. These are some more green peppers. This is a different variety, California Wonder. This is leeks, and I think I made a mistake buying this because I had no idea what you're supposed to do with leeks. So my dad looked it up, and it's actually going to be a giant pain in the butt, but I will. I'll plant them. We'll see what happens. This is some more cucumber. I'm not doing any pickles this year, so I didn't get as many cucumbers. And then this is some more okra. So we're going to go ahead and finish planting this garden. I'll bring you back when it's all planted. So this is what the garden looked like when we first came over, just with the tomato plants planted. And here's what it looks like with all of the rest of the plants in the ground. It's kind of hard to see, but that's the difference between the two pictures. And this is my dad. He came out to help because he remembers everything. I don't know how he remembers, but he remembers how far apart to plant the plants. He just remembers everything that there is to know about gardening. I guess it's because he's done it his entire life. But he's getting older now and kind of not in the greatest health, and so we're doing the most of the grunt work for him. He's leaning on his raised bed, which he really enjoys working in because it's up high. He doesn't have to stoop down or anything like that. So he will be planting lettuces and radishes and things like that in his raised bed. And here's Olivia. She's putting crushed eggshells around all of the plants. I just put them around all of the plants to keep any kind of cutworms or anything like that from destroying the plants. I know cutworms go after tomatoes and peppers, but I just was better safe than sorry. We put eggshells around every plant we planted. And here's Travis working in the raised bed. This is where we planted our peppers and jalapeno peppers. It's the only raised bed we used this year. The other two raised beds are actually falling apart, and so we either going to have to rebuild them or just not use them anymore. But he was in there working, spading up the dirt and getting as many weeds out as he possibly could. It's amazing how full of weeds things get just in the springtime. So we have everything in the ground except for the pepper plants. Travis is working on that raised bed over there, which is where we're going to put the pepper plants. So as soon as he gets that ready, we'll get those planted. But I put the leeks in this raised bed, and you had to kind of dig a trench, and then as they grow, you fill the trench in. I don't know how well it's going to do in a raised bed, but that's just the way it's going to be. We'll deal with it when the time comes. Over here in this section, my dad's going to plant one hill of zucchini and one hill of yellow squash. Then here we've got watermelon, that. These are cucumbers, and then these are the acorn squash. And then next to the tomatoes is where we planted the okra. Now in this whole big section here, my dad's going to plant corn and black-eyed peas. And then, like I said, the green peppers and the jalapeno peppers are going to be over there in that raised bed. And that is all we're going to do for a garden this year. I'm not doing any kind of canning of tomatoes, so I didn't buy as many tomato plants this year. I just want to make salsa and have tomatoes for eating. I'm experimenting with the tomatillos. Never planted those before. The leeks, never done those before. The okra, like I said, my mother used to plant it, but I never have. The rest of the stuff I'm pretty familiar with. So hopefully, if the weather cooperates, we'll have a pretty good garden. I love these wind chimes. They were a gift for my mother's funeral. I've always wanted wind chimes like this, but they're pretty pricey. And here are the peppers all planted. That tree, it's just a junk tree. I'm going to have Scott chop that down because it's shading that end of the garden too much. But that's it, we are done. We are done planting, finally. Thank goodness. Alright friends, I think I'm going to call this a vlog here. It's after 1 o'clock. As you can see, the kids are eating. I just got out of the shower, changed my clothes, and I'm going to get something to eat as well. I will insert some pictures of the finished frosted cake and our dinner here. And here is the roast, and see how gorgeous it is when it's cooked in that roaster pan, electric roaster pan. It just, the meat is falling off the bone tender and it's nice and browned. It's just the perfect way to cook meat, and it's so much faster than in the oven. And here are the roasted vegetables. There's sweet potato and white potatoes, and then those little red things are radishes. And I really like them roasted. The whole family liked them. Of course, Travis didn't try them. He's not a big vegetable fan. But we all agreed that they did take on a potato-like flavor with just a slight radish. There's like a little radish aftertaste to it. But they were really, really good. And here's my plate with half of a sweet potato and a couple of those radishes. And then I have zucchini and onion that Olivia sauteed together. And then some greens that I got out of my greenhouse. It's leaf lettuce and spinach with a little bit of honey mustard dressing. And then some of that pork roast. Here's the cake all frosted, and that frosting is just cream cheese, a little bit of lemon juice, and powdered sugar. That's all it is. Now, because I have to use dairy-free cream cheese, it has a looser consistency, but if you used regular dairy cream cheese, it would be more fluffy and not quite so loose. And here's what the cake looks like when you cut it. I actually had started to eat the cake and I remembered that I needed to take a picture. It is really, really good. It's super moist. It's very tasty. There's all kinds of wonderful textures in the cake. And you know what? I honestly did not miss that extra cup of sugar. I cut the sugar in half on this recipe, and I think it was plenty sweet enough. I highly recommend that you give this recipe a try. Thanks so much for spending the day with me, and I hope you have a great day, and I hope you can tell that I'm in a much better spirits than I was even in the last few videos that I posted. I tried to be cheerful even when I wasn't feeling cheerful, and I don't think I came across very well. When I went back and watched the, edited the videos, I'm like, man, I don't seem very happy. And that's because I wasn't. But there's so much relief in knowing that Pepper's gonna be okay, and that Lucy's gonna be okay, and that we finally got our plants in the ground. Now we'll just have to wait and see what the weather does, whether it will produce anything. We'll talk to you later, friends. Bye-bye.